All right, we're live. Tapping Birdie, the Memorial, Scandinavian mixed, of course. Houston Open. We got a lot of golf this week. We got Sky Hook here. Sky, how you doing tonight?
Good, BK, man. It's great to chat with you. I looked back. It's been a couple of years, man. Obviously,
Yeah.
love your stuff. You're one of the best out there, most entertaining. Absolutely.
Okay.
So good
We'll
to chat
take
with
it.
you.
We'll take it. It has been a while. I think last time was Travelers 2023.
Yes.
With Xander won, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Scott, you've been doing this for a while. You know, you like to bet on a lot of different tours. How would you kind of sum up how this PGA Tour season has gone compared to others? Like, how wacky truly has it been with some of the winners and some of the things have happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the weirdest year that I can really remember from the stretch of long shots we had to kick off the year, right? I mean, it was triple digits after triple digits after triple digits, and then the run that Scotty and some of the best of the golfers, in the world have gone on. I mean, Xander's been electric all year. Rory's now picked up the pace, and then you don't even include the semantics of what have happened off the course, live, the whole Valhalla incident. It's one to remember. And from the on-course perspective, I think there's still been a lot of stories. Signature events take some of the juice away. I think I'm starting to get more used to them and maybe a little bit more appeal than I thought I had in the past. But, last week was a quintessential storyline that I live for in the PGA Tour and golf as a whole. So that's as good as it gets, the
Yeah.
McIntyres last week.
Yeah, no, I mean it's really been tough from a betting perspective. Like a lot of the range where we like to bet, 20 to 100 to 1, like it really just hasn't been hitting as often as it has in the past. And there's been a lot of weeks in my opinion where like the guy who finished runner up like made a lot more sense than the guy who actually won the tournament. And again, I just think it's a reminder of like how random what we do truly is, and predicting the outcome of a golf tournament over 4 days with all these talented people. Like it really is just so random. And when you actually get it right and it plays out how you think, like you got to take more of those weeks for granted because they've been few and far between this year.
Totally agree. I mean, it was very, very frustrating that the door was open so much to kick off the year, and I didn't capitalize like once in those
Yeah.
scenarios, right? Like those set you up for a whole year. You hit a Davis Riley like 2 weeks ago. You don't need to hit another bet all year long, and to not cash in on a couple of those was tough, but each way's payback.
Yeah.
Getting top fives and places. That's where, I've learned to live a lot more than, in typical years. I think in the past, be more willing to be happy with a place or two to keep you alive week after week.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've talked about it a lot in the pod, and I swear to God, I'm having Chinese food with my dad tonight. He's like, why do you bet your guys like top 10? Like, I feel like they're always in the mix. Like, and like my boss says the same thing to me. Like, my friends say the same thing to me. Like, it's just very tough because, as you know, you could just, like, it's in the cards to have no one in the mix and have a terrible week. And if you are like, okay, I'm going to bet outrights and I'm probably going to lose. And then I'm also going to bet a bunch on the top 10, top 20. Like, it just makes it that much harder when you just completely whiff on a week. And like we're talking about, it's just so random that it just makes it very difficult, in my opinion, to like fork over another 200, 300 a week on placings. Like top fives are different because obviously the odds are a lot higher, but it's just tough. It's just tough to commit that much more money to top tens on guys.
Yeah, the way I don't profit off of top fives unless there's multiple. The way I kind of set the card up is if I have a top five on anybody, normally like 40 to 1 and longer, that's kind of where I'm there. If any of those hit, it just gets me my money back for the week. And you just
Yeah.
kind of wash away and then you keep going. If you get a couple
Yeah.
in a week, right, you make a little bit of money. But overall, yeah, it's to float versus to make money. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like that strategy. It's also just tough to like pick the guy that you like to, because again, like last week, my friends like, who you like this week? I'm like, I like the Gala, and then Sam Burns and Foxman. They're like, why didn't you tell them? I'm like, I don't know who's gonna play well of the guys I bet. I have no fucking clue. If one or two of them
Mm-hmm.
play well, like I'm more than happy. But like, I can't tell you who exactly is gonna play well. So it's always tough in this industry. So I would have thought maybe you would have been on Bob Mack 80-1 last week. I hate to say it was a good bet. I mean, I'll bet you at 80-1 if you finish top 10 at a major. Like, he was trending, he was playing well. He missed a cut at Charles Schwab. Like, who cares? Like, it was a good bet. I'm willing to admit that. Any regret on DP World Tour legend, Ryder Cup legend, Bob Fack?
A lot of it. I think the more I've learned about Bob, especially this year, he seems like he hates the PGA Tour. Seems like he doesn't enjoy playing in the States. Like, people aren't nice to him. People don't support him. He's lonely. But, like, you think of the scenario at the Canadian Open. If I would have known his dad was on the bag, you know, the support he gets, like, he was in a good mental space. He can win a major if he has that type of vibes around him. So I wasn't surprised. And yeah, definitely frustrated. I mean, I played some DK, wrote him up for like guys under 7,500, but ultimately missing that win. That's tough.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, you know, you can always land on a guy after the fact, but like in reality, 80-1 on a guy that finished top 10 in a major, that's a good putter. Like, that was a good bet last week.
Yep.
Like, I have no issue with it. You know, I was riding DP World Tour legend Ryan Fox. He was at -14 all by himself. I spent the money, like, legitimately just spent all of it immediately. But Fox is interesting to me because he's shown he has dog, and he's won some big dick events. He won at Wentworth. He won the Alfred Dunhill Links, but he's also like blown a lot of events. I'm not giving up on Foxy. I think he gets a PGA Tour win this year or next year. Like, Fox is an elite player, and he's shown some real good golf and, you know, the ability to win.
He's got a game that should translate more to the PGA Tour too, right? Hits it a mile and can get kind of nuclear on the green. So I think, yes, he's somebody who I would not be surprised at all. Picked up big wins. It's just going to take some time. Like, I love to bet early and be early on those guys because it's just part of the way I'm built and do the research for years. So why not bet them when they're big numbers early on? But sometimes it takes some maturing and probably some battle wounds to get through it all, and they'll be there. They'll be there.
I don't know how big of a Tommy guy you are, but it's another tough week for Tommy Fleetwood. Matthew Pavon, DP World Tour guy, wins in his third start on the PGA Tour. Bobby Mack, he's played a lot more events, but first full year on the PGA Tour, wins in like his 40th start. Tommy Fleetwood still chasing that elusive first win. I mean, he has to look at Bobby Mack win and be like, I really can't do that.
It's got to be so mental for him. You feel bad because Tommy's the man, right? Everyone enjoys rooting for Tommy Fleetwood. Like, it has to be, I guess the same way is if it was a good number, like, I don't think we're getting that good at Tommy numbers, right? Like Xander recently at Valhalla, that to me was still a decent number from how caliber he has been all year long. They don't give us any leeway that much, at least with Tommy. You just got to have all that conviction to believe it's going to happen. And I'm not there at the books prices they have.
Yeah, no. And I really do agree. It's completely mental with the guy, just for whatever reason. Anytime he's in contention or needs to step up in a big spot, like, it's just hard for him to deliver. But it's just, like, these Euro guys winning and popping up, like even fucking Valimaki at Mexico. I know he didn't win, but like, these guys were doing it, and it's just to see how talented of a player he is and how much little win equity he has. It's just tough to see with old Tommy Ladd. Are you in or out on the RBC Canadian Open? Like, you think it has a good spot on the PGA Tour and it's a good event?
I mean, for our brothers up north, right? Pat was on with you last week. Like, those guys live for it, and I like it. I mean, the juice they get from the fans, the buy-in. I'm not sure the courses have been that good, you know, overall. But I'm not like a course aficionado by any means. Like, I want to test. I mean, it was cool to see Taylor win last year, right? Like, that was awesome. I mean, if it becomes like a signature event where you get all the big guys, I liked it a lot when it was leading up. Like, I preferred the reverse, like Memorial, then Canadian, then the US Open, kind of like that type of field a little bit more there. But yeah, I buy into it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good event. And I talked about it on Joe's pod. Like, I think when you go to places that this is their event and it's the only spot in the calendar where they have an event like Memorial, like Travelers, like not like the California or Texas or Florida events where they have so many, it doesn't mean anything. Like I always feel like that brings a great atmosphere. And I think that's what the Canadian Open really has going for it. In that, you know, this is like Ontario's event. Everyone's going to show up. It's like a thing to do. And I think the PGA Tour needs to go to more places like that where, you know, an event is going to mean something and people are going to show up, you know, because they don't have 5 events a year.
Totally, 100%. I'd be all in for that. I mean, I think there's been so much talk about an Aussie Open being on the tour, right? Worldwide, global, any of that. Because yes, that the fan buy-in. I mean, McIntyre said it felt like he was so supported by fans. I think, honestly, part of it, he said they like lefties in Canada for some reason. So he felt
said
like
some weird things. He said some weird things this week. I'm not going to lie.
But yeah, I mean, that support is as good as it gets. And it's way different than the 6 events we get in Florida here that are just one after another, you know, totally in for more.
Yeah, no, I agree. So U.S. Open qualifiers on Monday. How heavy were you tracking? What were your biggest, like, what were you most happy about in the U.S. Open qualifying that took place?
It's one of the best days of the year from like the way I view things. I'm trying to think the happiest guys that I saw from a betting perspective. You tweeted this yesterday. I think Dean Burmeister might be the best player on LIV. I really think so. I think he one-on-one versus Rahm right now. I might take Dean. I think I don't really bet LIV that much. The only time I would like to really bet it is the doubles leading in. So like we could get Mean Dean at probably 1,000 to 1 to win LIV Houston and then win the US Open next week. Like that's when I like the lead-in types. I think he's amazing. I'm going to bet him probably to be low LIV next week. He's great. So to get him through, that was probably just as important to Neiman for me of the LIV guys. I think Puig, he's great. So it was good that he picked up. He had like the easiest qualifier out in California.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
He should have won that. So that was awesome. Amateurs, like I really like to follow the amateur side of the game. Luke Clanton out of Florida State. He's the number 2 amateur in the entire nation on Data Golf's rankings.
Okay.
And he got through pretty easily in his qualifier. The kid who's playing this week in the Memorial, Jackson Koiven, just missed out. He won every single award in the NCAAs. The first time that anybody has swept, I think it's the Hogan, Nicholas, and Haskins Award. He's the first time anyone ever did that. And he's a freshman. And he's playing in the Memorial this week. So he's min priced in DraftKings.
Every single lineup?
I might. Like, I think he's literally worth it. I mean, he was literally – so Data Golf moves the market. I think we know that from an odds perspective. He was 130 to 1 for a top 5 on Monday afternoon. They turned their odds on. At that point, he's down to 30 to 1 for a top 5. So, like – it moved instantly in a bunch, but he missed the U.S. Open. So back to the qualifying, was happy with him or with Clancy
Cam Davis
through. Cam Davis,
I like Cam Davis next week, dude.
He likes
really
those events.
Think he's like a solid play. And I did like a major preview beginning of the year. I had no clue he'd have to fucking qualify, but I was like, yeah, I like Cam Davis at. He was playing well in the fall. Like I like Cam Davis at Pinehurst again. The way the U.S. Open is trending, you have to be a bomber. You have to be lead off the tee. And that's his biggest attribute. Like you look at Wyndham Clark last year, like that's what he does best. Australians good at Pinehurst. Cam Davis next week, I'm betting him for sure. Whatever, 200, 300 to 1. Like I think a solid DraftKings play. First round leader. Cam Davis, love him next week. I think he's a really solid play.
You're going to get really good odds on your Mark Hubbard hole-in-one bet because he's back in the field, right? He blitzed his qualifier. It's a shame. I was a little worried for you. He was going to get a hole-in-one in the qualifier, and you wouldn't have been able to get on him.
I don't know if they have markets for that. But, yeah, Hubbard, hole-in-one, Pinehurst, like without a doubt. He's just shown that, he's an auto hole-in. He's such a good par 3 player. Like, he's just always throwing darts on par 3s. I'm high on Hubbard. I've always been high on Hubbard. I bet him a ton. He's very talented. He's kind of unserious at times. And like I don't really trust him to win, but like just a solid DK play. I like him. I would like to talk about Joaquin Neiman. I know kind of the discourse has quieted down, but earlier this year, there were people saying that he was a top 5 player in the world, deserved to be like a top 10 favorite for the Masters and all these majors. And, he was such low odds for the first 2 majors of the year. And like, I understand anyone could have a bad tournament, but the results that he put up and to not qualify, like, it's just sad. And I just think that when people win, it just, again, I hate to dunk on Liv. Like, I know I'm anti-Liv. Like, I love Dean Burmeister, but I think that it just more so proves how winning on Liv does not translate to winning major championships and, like, contending against the biggest players in the world. Like, it just negates what he did earlier in the year, in my opinion. Am I being too biased with Joaquin Neiman?
No, I don't think so. I'm very much with you. Live bots can come at us. It is not my cup of tea either. And it's just frustrating because I like a lot of the golfers. It's in theory, their games. We've bet them for years. Like, their decision to take the money. We don't have to get into that back and forth, but I want to be able to trust or at least have an idea of what you are doing is going to matter in the next events, and nothing matters. You know what I mean? I can't trust pretty much anybody's form on anything. Strokes gain data is all over the place. I don't know I need that stuff to trust and line up. I'm just going off from what I've seen in the majors for Dean and what I've known for years. Like, I can trust that at bigger numbers, but I think I'm like over Brooks at this point. I'm not really into betting him in any of these spots or anything.
Rahm seems to be struggling heavy.
Oh yeah. I have literally no interest. I don't care what number they probably even throw out. I think there's 20s out there.
24.
Next week.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Like, I don't feel any need. Now, I say that, and then I just dream course scenario fits. And I do agree you have to drive it at Pinehurst. You have to drive it at every U.S. Open, but it seems like the creativity around the green at Pinehurst is going to be like as important as ever. So I feel like it could be a really good Cam Smith spot if he can figure it out, off the tee at least somewhat. So I would like to see something from him this week to be able to confidently put him in play. The only thing I like about Live golfers and majors is they're never really that owned besides Bryson and DraftKings. And you can tell yourself stories every single time and feel like, all right, they're just going to show up, and you just never know,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. But I do think Dean will be popular at the US Open.
Yes. Like, hopefully they price him up.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, I would say he's probably like 78, 75 or no.
Yeah, he was 7K flat at the PGA.
He's got to be 7.5 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm down for Dean at the US Open. I don't know how he sets up at Live Houston. I haven't dove deep into the stats, but he could win. I wouldn't be surprised if he got it done. So Memorial this week, 90-1 on Dean at the US. That's a terrible number. Like, I know we're just talking about how good he is, but like 90-1, that's crazy that he's.
What was he? He was 150 at the PGA.
Yeah.
So
I guess. Yeah, sure.
Okay. It's early.
It's early.
If we get triple digits, I'm in.
No, I'm down. Top 5, 100-1 on Dean Burmey. Memorial Week, signature event. Everyone's playing. Great course on the PGA Tour. What are your overall thoughts on this event, this course, and kind of where it fits into these guys' schedule coming up to the U.S. Open?
I think I've learned to appreciate this course a lot more over the last few years. I think it is one of the best tests on all of the PGA Tour from a pure tee to green standpoint, and that's the way I like to approach the game. You have to do pretty much every aspect off the tee, maybe not as much distance. You got to be in the fairways if you can hold them. Irons are at a premium. You need to chip because you can't hold the firm greens. So I love that. I love every single part about that. The only thing that I don't love is I don't want to come onto a podcast and say right here, hey, how can we just not rip Scotty at 4-1? Or are we just sitting here betting the without Scotty market and the other odds that are terrible 90% of the time? but I'm struggling to not just put a hammer down on him and go long shot route because everything should be perfect for him here, right?
Okay. I genuinely was gonna say this. I know I'll regret this, but maybe I won't. I'm not gonna be this scared of Scotty outside of fucking February through April. I mean, this is a guy that we are talking about in the same likes as Tiger and Rory and Brooks, and he has no wins outside of a 3-month stretch. Like genuinely, like it's a large enough sample size for me now to just be like, okay, there must be something up with it. And he's won this, he keeps winning the same events over and over. And the only event he won that was new was the Heritage, which he was playing. That was when he was like peak Scotty, and he's played that course before. Something is up with him outside of these 3 months. Yes, he gained 20 strokes ball striking or tee to green here last year. Like, whatever. I'm not going to be scared of him until he wins outside of April. And I mean it.
I mean, I'm proud of you for that because that's a take. That's a stand. You know, like I don't like sitting here saying I want to bet Scotty Scheffler at 4-1. That's not like my ethos of gambling. And I've been looking for something to get off. I mean, the fact that he's now like a pretty dang good putter is just unbelievable with a switch like that. Right. So then all of a sudden it's just the course fit is like you show up somewhere and Scotty gets a boost as big as he does here. You're like, it's pretty much majors, and like this is like as good as it gets for Scotty. Like I may be more interested here than next week. I think that's to me kind of the play is I don't think I'd be betting Scotty at 4-1 at all at Pinehurst, but I could, as of now, that's where I'm standing in the market.
Okay. No, I understand. I think to me, there's no, I mean, he had the second best tee to green performance of all time last year. Like, he's not going to do that again. No chance. He's not going to come close to that. Obviously, he's been putting a lot better. I'm not going to be scared of him until he wins not the Players, Waste Management, Bay Hill, Masters. Like, he needs to prove it more for me, and I'll probably regret it, but I'm willing to take a stand here. Where are you at? I know Colin and Hovland are pretty popular picks this week. Who do you prefer out of those two, and who do you think has a better chance to win this week?
So gut tells me Hovland just because I like a little bit more of the number there. I mean, I think from like if I was just going off of how I would price the golfers, Colin's probably definitely the better bet. It just feels what we saw out of Hovland the last 4 rounds there at Valhalla, what we saw to close Quail Hollow, like if that switch is now flipped, he's a top 3 golfer, 4 if you're stretching it. In there, and you're getting 21. I think there's a boost out there to 21 for Hovland this week. I think I would land there compared to feeling comfortable at the 14s for Colin personally. Like I looked again, I've been researching, trying to look at all these without markets. There's the without Scheffler, Rory, and Xander market, and Morikawa's 10-1 there versus 14s in the total. Like that. I don't know. It's hard to judge mentally how much 4 points at the top of the board means. It means a lot, from win equity. But I don't know. I feel like Xander's just is live here. He's relaxed. He's free. Like
Dude, he shot 40. He shot 40 in the practice round. He can't win.
Okay. I mean, he seems chill, right? He seemed like way different. Maybe it is. Maybe he's like, I don't care about anything anymore right now. So could be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not too scared of Xander this week. I mean, I am scared of Scotty. I'm just gonna say he's not gonna win. And Rory at 10-1, I think it's actually a pretty solid bet. I mean, betting Rory the start before a major, like historically, is a plus EV play. So I like it. I bet Colin just because I think that he's most due for a win of anybody. And he's just been contending every single week. And again, he's just great at this spot. He's great at a spot where, hitting the fairways is at a premium. He hits a fade. The long irons are dialed. He could chip and putt now. Like, I really do think that he is extremely likely to win this week. And at 16-1, like I'm in. So
his short game has been great, right?
Yeah,
like
no, he's
agree
reinvented his game a little bit.
Yes. No, I mean it's the tailor-made spot for Morikawa. He's going to be likely the most popular golfer in DFS this week. He's probably the most popular bet, right there. No, I mean there's nothing to pick apart there outside of a deeper number with Vic, but I'm taking more of a leap of faith there than what we've seen from Colin for months.
Yeah, it's tough like betting Hovland at 50-1 at the PGA and then like him being 18-1 at his next start. Like that's tough for me. Cantley, JT, Decky, Homa, any of those guys do anything for you this week?
I would rather go to Ludwig past all of them personally, just because I think I mean, you know, our friend Jeff Feinberg has been hammering down every single person in PGA Tour media about getting Ludwig, you know, like status updates. And he finally did get somebody boots on the ground. He reached out to me, Jeff did, and said that Ludwig's looking healthy, looking good, holding greens. Everything seems fine, relaxed. So shout out to Jeff for the work there. And I mean, I think peak Ludwig should be perfect for here, right? He's as long as anybody, but he's just as accurate.
He's a short course guy.
I agree with you. Like that's the fact that
it's
I think
so
he can
weird.
Play.
Like he does well on shorter positional courses versus long, difficult tracks.
100%. Did it on DP World Tour. He's done it on PGA Tour. I 1,000,000% agree. But this isn't as much of like if it fits Colin, is that the same kind of narrative that it could be more of a Ludwig type of thing? Like Memorial feels like a big ballpark, but. Yes,
I agree. I'm glad he's at a good number. Like I'm not as high on Ludwig as a lot of people. At the end of the day, he's only won the RSM Classic and some DP World Tour event. Like I need him to prove it to me a little bit more, and like for him to be 18-1. But I do think 28-1 is like a solid play this week. And if he's fine, then he's good. But again, Valhalla missed the cut. Like I don't know. I think I'm just a little bit worried about him.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think you're again taking leaps of faith with Hovland and Ludwig, and the numbers are okay, but not great compared to some of the others. I agree.
Decky, Homa, Russ, Connors, Burns, any of those guys you like this week?
I don't sit here and love any of them. I mean, Hideki's the weirdest golfer to try to get right, I feel like this year. Like I've tried. I mean, he withdrew. He's played two majors. I guess I pull it up right now. He's played two majors, right? Since basically April. It should be a Decky course, right? He's dominated Memorial in the past. Do we have any interest? Like, I just like to take those shots, maybe more in DFS with Hideki. That could be any way out there. Burns, I don't think it's the type of track for him. Henley's
with Burns, I'm interested. I was on him last week, hit the ball really well. He doesn't do well on big, difficult golf courses. Like Colonial, smaller, like the spots he's won, it's just been a lot of wedges, in my opinion. It hasn't been a ton of long irons. Like, I don't think he's a strong long iron player. Like, I want to be there, but I think he's going to be last man off the card for me.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I wish he would have kicked on more on Sunday. Like, I was surprised after being 2 under through 5, right? I'm sure you were super frustrated with it that he didn't get anything with that. Henley was pretty decent in one of the markets without guys. I would have to double check. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, like he's like 33-1 without Scheffler, which I think is actually a really good number comparative to some of the other guys. But also at the end of the day, that's betting Russell Henley at 33-1, which feels disgusting.
But he doesn't have to win.
Correct. We can get the exact, and they give each ways at 365 with that market too. So it's
really,
nice. Yes,
that's interesting. I mean, you don't even need to do anything close to winning for that. Honestly, what do you think about? I know you like different markets and stuff. If you're betting though without, why wouldn't you just do an exact to Scotty Russ?
I was thinking the exact same thing today with like Colin or somebody.
Yeah, because you know that Scotty's going to be there. You're basically getting a free square. And obviously a lot of things have to fall your way and it could get chopped. But like a lot of these longer shot guys that I bet, I'm thinking about just exact dual forecasting them. So like either way it can kind of go. And I think like a Ben on, a guy who can't win necessarily, like dual forecast with Scotty is like a pretty solid play. Like I could definitely see that playing out more likely at better odds than Ben On actually getting it done. So for kind of the guys longer down the board, if 365 has him, I kind of like the dual forecasts.
Yeah, I mean, if you nail one, I mean, those are big paydays. So, but I agree. Like, I even think like Collins' number at 10-1 to me was better than the 14s to win the tournament. But if you dual forecast that, it's just, I mean, I don't know. Like that's where I kind of landed or thought through it, but it's tough. I mean, you gotta nail the 1-2, and we're just struggling to nail one sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It is definitely. I know you're a Thieves guy. Off a missed cut last week, seems to be flip flopping if he wants to play well or not. But at the end of the day, like I wasn't joking about it last week. Like the guy's sixth in the FedEx Cup. Like he's having a really good year. Like he's an elite golfer. And he's shown when he gets to these prices, 50-1 plus, that he could really pop and make some noise. Are you in on Thieves this week?
I like him a lot next week. I think his creativity at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst is going to be more rewarded. Maybe more rewarded, but I can just build that picture in my head a lot more next week than I feel like this week, when I don't think he has the pure tee to green game that the other guys do. You know, he's starting to get into better odds ranges, so I don't mind it. But when he needs to basically gain strokes in all three tee to green aspects, he's done that once, I think, this year, and that was the Century to start the year. So that to me is a little bit more murky compared to next week, where I think you could really just crank it up around the green and be a little bit higher variance. So that's my thoughts with Sahith.
I really like Tony 65-1 this week. Like to me, that's the number you bet and take a chance on Tony at. The ball striking has been really, really good. Gained over 5 ball striking at Charles Schwab. Gained 9 on approach at the Memorial. I know he can't putt, but there were times where he was putting well at the PGA, and he's just been kind of neutral. Like, I could just see him, if he pops with the flat stick, like, he's so live to win this tournament and be in the mix. And 65-1, like, that's just an easy play for me. And, like, I really like the way he's been playing. 12th at RBC as well. I don't normally bet Tone, but I really like Big Tone this week.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. I think from the aspect of what you need to do here, he does it all, right? He really does, and I'm okay to push aside. I mean, he was in the thick of it for a little bit of time, you know, multiple events in a row, and yeah, I think this is, of the courses we can be okay avoiding. I think difficult courses are the better ones for those guys that can't putt, you know. So that to me opens it up for Finau. Now in this same range though, I don't know if you're back to our boy, but I think Keegan Bradley is a smash.
Love Keegan. Favorite play on the board.
Oh, I woke up Monday morning. There was zero hesitation. If we talk about the Dean double, we might need the Keegan double these next 2 weeks. He is driving it like an absolute stallion.
Insane, dude.
He's like the best driver in the world.
Right, I know. It was like he led the field off the tee at the PGA. It's like, all right, probably a fluke. And then comes out Charles Schwab, finishes runner-up, wins that tournament if fucking Davis Riley doesn't go nuclear. Yes. Like, Keegan's driving right now is unbelievable, and I trust him to get high with the irons and putting. Like, I think it could all come together 100%. For Keegan for sure. Love Keegan.
I mean, I'm in right now. I'm in next week. Like, I don't have to ask.
You're in next week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, I'm in. I think no one is realizing how good he's driving. I haven't even looked. I don't even care. I think he's that amazing. Like, I like to wait for the books to reset. I think like futures were 150s a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I agree. The week of it's better. The week of it's better.
Unless he wins and maybe we sprinkle the double in advance, you know?
I'm not opposed to doing a Keegan double this week. Yeah. I would be in on Keegan next week if I could get like a 110 on him. Like, I would bet it right now. And I'm pretty sure he played well at the US Open in 2014.
He did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Keegan doesn't win one of the next 2 weeks. Is my opinion.
I agree, man. I mean, he's the man. The other one who, like, if we're talking driving and just popping with the driver, this is hard because it's again very speculative. But I think something's going to really click at one time for Jordan Spieth and put it all together. Dude,
You
if
love
look at
Spieth,
driving
though.
too. I do. I'm a sucker for him. Absolute sucker for him.
Did you bet him in 2017 at the Open? Like, what is your connection with Spieth? Like, why do you always love to bet him?
I just think he's entertaining, and his game is so erratic that it can bring enjoyment to track and follow. And I think now he's a way different golfer than he was during his run. And I don't think it's getting enough credit for right now that he truly, I would say in the last 2-3 months, is probably a top 10 driver in the world.
Yeah.
And he's being that led by distance. That's something that we aren't comfortable with, being the Jordan Spieth that we think he is. So if this week, maybe it's not as much this week compared to next week. He hasn't tied any other part of his game together. He can't hit irons. His shipping isn't great. Putting is terrible. But if it becomes a driving test next week, Jordan Spieth is a sneaky name that can get up there again, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's been really weird what he's done to his game. But yeah, off the tee numbers have been great. What do you think about Sepp this week? I know he's pretty popular.
I mean, I'm always a Sepp guy. I think his market numbers, they're finally starting to catch up with a little bit of respect, but like he is habitually really bad price. Like if you get 75, 80s on Sepp, I think you just you could auto bet him and make money every year. I think in that, if you each way it, I mean, he's got to win, of course, too. But I mean, wins last year, dominates majors, right? 3 out of the last 5 have been top 20s. I think his peak game is as great as everybody else in there, but he's now priced in a little bit different of a range. I bet him at 50s at the Colonial, right? So we're getting 75s in this type of event. I don't hate it. Like if I'm betting Scotty, I can't be the guy when, Golf Tips Checker puts it up there and this is like 7 guys and you have Scheffler there too.
So you're really going to bet Scotty?
I'm going to sleep on it tonight. As of now, there has not been a bet placed. But if I do, it's Scotty, like Keegan, and then bombs. Okay. If I don't, it's probably one of Colin, Hovland, Aberg, Sepp, Keegan.
Okay.
And then still a couple long shots.
It's always good to sleep on it. Again, it's not April. It's just not April. Like,
I'm going to think about that long and hard.
It is. It does matter. I think I'm going to bet Sepp. The ball striking's been good. Couldn't really putt at Colonial for whatever reason. I had him. He definitely could have won that week. But he's won in this area of the country before. John Deere, Illinois, Ohio, basically same state. Approach number's been really good. 3.8, 4.2, 4.7, 3.6. Like, he's been doing things. And he should be a good putter. Like, he is a good putter. He should, pop one of these weeks. So I'm in personally on Sepp. Is John Deere bent grass? Yes, it is. So. All right, yeah. So he's easy bet for me. I like Sepp this week. Who do you like 100+? Rose, Eckroat, Big Dick Fowler, Harmon. What are your thoughts, like, kind of further down the board?
Yeah, I like Rose probably more in like DFS this week. I think he's like 7K flat. You get a little motivation off of his partner Bobby Mack getting a W.
Yes,
so you have that angle. I mean, Zalatoris is getting awfully close to triple digits these days. I think he's like 75s at opens, 80s. Still, I like to be early on again, that guy from the DFS perspective. But if we're betting Lee Hodges, I love down the long range. 12th, 25th. He's more of an accuracy
good here
guy.
Last year.
Yeah, I think he was 4th going into the final round. I think him and Eckroat are just 2 guys that have just pounded greens. Approach numbers are awesome, have done well at this course, and are just in a perfect spot. Now, Eckroat won at the Honda, which can be a course that has some type of, it's not as difficult as it used to be, but precision or like
he's accurate off the tee. He played well at Memorial. Like, I like that.
Yeah, I think Eckroat, Hodges, Davis Thompson is a little bit more down. I don't think I'm going to get to.
He qualified for the U.S. Open
after like killing every lineup in the book for half of the DFS field last week. He's intriguing from a long shot standpoint, but I betting of guys that I could see dual forecasting with Scotty, and being Eckroyd and Hodges would be my two.
Okay. Yeah, I think Lee Hodges is a good shout. He's been playing well, played well here last year. And again, like he gained like 20 strokes to the field when he won 3M. Like he's a really good ball striker. And I think that like 220, I think it's just way too high of a price. Down the board, there's really no one else I'm super interested in. I think Davis Riley's pretty popular. He was first round leader here last year. Taylor Moore, I think it's a pretty solid play. Other than that, I don't really have a ton of guys. But yeah, I really like Zal, Straka, Keegan, Finau, and Colin. Like those are kind of the guys I'm riding with this week. So there's a mixed event on the DP World Tour. There's women and there's men playing in it. They play from different tees. Who I remember like a woman winning and like a guy played way better. Like, is this event worth betting with the variance? Can you bet it like a men only market or what?
You can bet a men only market. So basically, it's been around, I think, 3 years, 2 men winners, and then Lynn Grant won, and she won by like 9 strokes.
Yeah.
She like blitzed the field. So I think this year, and with the ladies at the top, like they're not in the best form. The ladies that are in the better form are more like the ladies European Tour girls. And the gap between the LET and the LPGA is pretty substantial. So I think it's going to flip more to the men likely dominating this course. It's a longer course than where they've played in the past. It's a brand new one this year. So I wouldn't feel like you need to dip into the men only market because you're probably getting a little bit better prices in the mixed market when I don't see more than a couple ladies probably being top 10 at the end of the day. So we have Bjork and Campillo coming over from the PGA Tour and playing in there. Bjork was 30s on Monday on DraftKings.
You like Bjork?
He's down to 18 now in certain spots. It's pretty short. I mean, if you can get a 25, I think Bjork, he made the cut at Valhalla.
Is it like an accuracy course? I know he's like a good iron play putter.
It's just not like, it's longer, but they're going to still have scoring spots where his type of like tidiness is going to be very, very well set up there. Campillo's been playing awesome. I didn't bet Campillo. Bjork was my decision at the top. I feel like Campillo's been kind of sneaky good on the PGA Tour this year. He came over and was like 35s.
I could be down with Campillo. I think he's due.
He was right there in Myrtle. He probably should have or could have at least been closer to Goddard in the end of it. And I mean, from other, it's not bad from what it is. Like I preferred Bjork at 30s, just because he's played a little bit more. It's from his home country. You get that, narrative a little bit there. And if anybody else in the range, now this is more like, I mean, if you want me to keep going deeper, I can go deeper on the DP World Tour.
No, I'm down. I want to hear.
Dan Bradbury, he's like 55s. He's been bet by a lot of guys. He's like, in my opinion, the best ball striker on the entire DP World Tour.
Better than Jordan Smith?
I think so, but he is literally the worst putter you will ever back. It's terrible. It is terrible. Like he could be on the PGA Tour if he had any type of short game. He literally won his first ever DP World Tour event after turning professional. So he has that in him, but he finally showed some life last week. 55s there. We've got a couple long shots. Garrick Porteous, Tom and I both liked at 200 to 1. And then I get really into the amateurs making their first, starts. There's a couple on the DP World Tour. The one that I backed, his name's Adam Wallin, Wallin, out of the Ohio State University. He finished top 10 in the NCAA individuals last week, took Sargent to the wire, took the kid we talked about earlier, Jackson Koiven, who's in the field.
750 to 1?
He's I think we get a little FRL with him too, man. Get a little first round leader out there.
All right, for sure.
Yes. So he would be my long shot of the week. Yes.
Adam Wallen.
Yep.
750 to 1.
Yeah, we get some
down.
bombs.
I mean, I'm down. I have no real issue with that. And first round leader shout. parlay with Keegan, parlay with Hubbard, hole in one, like
Yep.
should be a
Mm-hmm.
pretty
Dean Low
good
Live. I mean, we should
Dean
have an
Live.
island pretty
I
soon
mean,
here.
that's an easy one. So you're
Yeah.
guaranteeing a man wins.
I think so.
I don't have to worry about like a Lindgren winning by like 12.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think the guys are gonna. Sadly, I want it to be. We support women's golf. You know, I think
Of course,
like,
I did.
last week Lancaster was awesome. You know,
Yeah.
the Open was incredible last week. And I mean, Sasso's awesome. I mean, Shibuno was in there. What Nelly did.
Minji Lee. I bet Minji Lee. She folded.
That was like bad. That was very bad.
I love Minji Lee. Is easily my favorite women's golfer. Charlie Hill second. The thing about Charlie Hill, I followed her on Instagram for like a year. Like I was early on her, and now she's getting all this attention. Like I was first. I was liking her picture years ago. So I
almost made a comment that you took up smoking because of Charlie Hull.
Yeah, no, I prefer the vape. Honestly, I do prefer that. I really don't like cigarettes. But no, that was a great event last week. I watched some of it. The course was great. Like I think that they should have more events again in places where there's not a lot going on from a sporting standpoint. So I'm excited for. I mean, I don't know why they have like 6 majors, but Scott Jameson, is it not the desert? You can't bet Scott Jamie unless it's the desert.
We're in the trees here. It's a Parkland type.
I always love a Scott Jamie in the desert. That's always a good spot.
And we're hitting the good stretch of the DP World Tour too. Like the summer gets cranked up there.
The no event is because I know they went on a long break. Are there events after the U.S. Open?
Yes. You kind of hit the home stretch. Scottish isn't that far away. You kind of get some of another one back in Germany. You kind of get some of the better events, and then the fall is always really good too. So it's hitting peak stretch. And I love what they're doing with the cards too. Getting 10 guys to the PGA Tour, I think, has done a lot for the PGA Tour this year.
No, I agree. I'm in on Jorge Camps.
Yeah, I think it's a good bet.
Like I'm in almost one Myrtle. That is, with all due respect, a much better field and harder to win than, a random DP World Tour event. Like he was there, 35-1. That's a play for me. I haven't been betting DP, but I'll ride with you on that. Pleasure having you on, Sky. It was a great show. I'm hyped for the U.S. Open. I'm hyped for this week. Keegan Bradley to the moon. Don't bet Scotty though. I have to say, don't bet Scotty.
Now, I'll consider this. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not saying I want to bet him, but I'm going to be pissed on Sunday when I know he's right there. It's just how it goes.
It's June. It's not even May. Like we're fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not worried. But great pod. Excited for next week. Having Andy on. Everyone check out Sky's pods. They're always great with Tom. Proper blokes. They know their stuff. And we got a huge week of golf coming up. So I'm looking forward to it. Everyone have a great night. We will see you next week.